Yes, Temple is a big underdog coming into this game. I also like Penn State, but closer than the experts think. Bernard Pierce is going to have a big day for Temple if they want to win. As good as Bernard Pierce has been so far this year, Temple still ranks 94th in total offense. I think Evan Royster comes out this week, shows why he's an all Big Ten running back. Penn State has struggled on offense with Rob Bolden as a true freshman, having some early season trouble. But I think Penn State does get the win this week at Happy Valley. They beat Temple.
And Temple's defense is tough, too. Look what they did last week versus UConn. They held UConn to 34 yards in the fourth quarter on 17 plays. Meanwhile, Temple scored 16 points and had over 100 yards of offense in the fourth quarter. This D is going to come through again in the fourth quarter. I'm loving Temple. I don't know why, but – and also, too, this was just announced a few days ago. Temple and Penn State are extending the series, so they're going to play in 2014, 2016, I think again 2015. So I don't know if they're going to want to do that so soon. They shouldn't have done that because Temple's going to go in and beat them this year, and they might not want to play them anymore.
You think Joe Pa will still be coaching at that point?
No, Al Golden will be coaching that team. Actually, I don't know. No,
might be.
I'm just kidding. Before we talk about the Iowa game, there's always a kind of thing I like to talk about, coach's hot seat. Who is your number one coach on the hot seat 3 weeks into the season? I'll keep my pick brief. I think you got to go Tim Brewster. Tim Brewster has not been a ranked team since he's been at Minnesota. He built this team as a team that was going to go to the Rose Bowl. They have a new stadium that now sits mostly empty against the mid-level teams. They lost to South Dakota. They lost to North Dakota State under his watch. And they had a chance to make a statement and beat USC and bounce back from the South Dakota game. It looked like it was pretty competitive going in the fourth quarter. And then they ended up losing by double digits. I really think Tim Brewster, if he doesn't come up with a big win or two, and by that I mean winning a rivalry game or winning some type of game where a trophy is involved, something he has not done yet, I really think there's no coach in the country right now whose seat is hotter. Rich Rodriguez, I think, was pretty much the consensus coming into the season, but since he started off 3-0, I think it's fair to remove him from that. Mike, what do you think?
Tim Brewster's got to be the number one. It's like you said, they've lost 17 straight games against ranked opponents. Tim Brewster against Northern Illinois this week. They're going to face a running back in Chad Spann, who's on the Doak Walker Award list. If they can't stop the run and they lose to Northern Illinois, Brewster legitimately may not survive the season. So Brewster's got to be the number one guy. If you're looking at number two, number three, you got to look at Paul Wolf out at Washington State, Ron Zook at Illinois, despite the close win against Northern Illinois recently, and maybe Dan Hawkins, despite early success at Colorado. I think when they get into the Big 12, he's going to struggle to win games.
And one thing you always got to look at, and we see this both at Minnesota, we've seen this especially at Illinois, when you're forced to get rid of people on your staff. Now, Brewster's just lost people because they've a lot of times had better opportunities. Not in every case, but Ron Zook was pretty much forced to clean house the staff coming into the season. And you know when that happens, you don't have a lot of time left. And about Paul Wolf, I know Washington State isn't an elite program, but I mean, when Price was there, they were going to Rose Bowls, they were winning 9-10 games a year. Bill Doba was there, and they definitely fell off. I mean, he won 10 games his first year. Then they pretty much stumbled to go, 6 wins, 5 wins. But Paul Wolf has had this team not even competitive. I mean, it is really shocking how bad Washington State is. And also, if you take a look at Pac-10 winning percentage, he is the worst coach in the history of the Pac-10. Jake.
Well, as you said, Alex, earlier, that you don't think Rich Rod is on the hot seat anymore, but I think it's still a little too early to take him off the hot seat. A 3-0 start is impressive, but we've seen this before. Last year, Michigan actually was ranked coming into the Iowa game. After losing to us, they had a terrible rest of the season. If Michigan does not sustain their success this season, I think he is still on the hot seat, but I'm not going to disagree with you guys either about Tim Brewster. Came into Minnesota with a lot of arrogance, a lot of promises. He's gone through a plethora of coaches at Minnesota. I don't see Minnesota rebounding this season. I think they get a new coach in the offseason. Tim Brewster, your days are limited.
And it's too bad because I love being Tim Brewster.
We'll be sad to see him go here.
Yeah, I was really hoping that Minnesota would beat USC just for that fact that they retained Tim Brewster if they beat USC. But
let's talk about one of the big games this weekend. It's Ball State traveling to Iowa to take on the Hawkeyes. Ball State 1-2. They lost to the mighty Liberty. I don't even know what their mascot is, but they are a 1AA school, the one that Jerry Falwell founded. And they also lost by 11 points at Purdue, which kind of surprising it was that close. But Ball State's not very good. The one time these two teams met, Iowa won 56-0. But as we learned from last year with Arkansas State, you cannot look past these teams. Mike, what do you see happening in this one?
Ball State doesn't have one guy on their offensive line that weighs over 300 pounds. Their largest guy is 295 pounds. Our D-line will have a field day with Ball State's offensive line. Mr. Parrish, the coach at Ball State, who has coached in other places, has a career record of 5 and 42-1. So Ball State, not a lot of problems coming to this game, despite returning 11 starters on offense from a year ago. But I think Iowa, and I say this every week, I'm a broken record, dominance in the trenches. The offensive line will rebound. The defensive line is going to have a big day. I think Iowa wins this game going away by 3 scores or more.
Well, Alex, you say we can't look past Ball State after what happened with Arkansas State last year. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm looking past Ball State. I'm looking to Penn State.
Yeah.
Iowa's going to win this game going away. The thing that I will be looking at, though, is special teams. How do we cover kickoffs? How do we cover punts? We've struggled with that in the early season so far. Also, how do we bounce back as a running game? Last week, we only had 29 yards. Granted, Arizona did rank first in rushing defense last year in the Pac-10. They do have a stout defensive line in front 7, but hopefully Robinson can get back to his 100-yard ways. He looked pretty abysmal against Arizona. Hampton was the only guy who had some success. I think Hampton's going to be out this game. Hopefully we get Robinson going on the ground again. Iowa wins by at least 30.
Therapy this weekend. Come off the tough loss to Arizona, you need to go whoop up on somebody inferior. Iowa beats Ball State big, 45-0. I'll just throw that out there. 45-0. Iowa will beat Ball State. I don't know. They could pretty much name their score. All depends when they want to, take the foot off the gas pedal, I guess. UIoist@gmail.com if you want to send us any comments. For Mike Rabin, Jake Burgers, I'm Alex Salzma. Good night and go Hawks.